Welcome to EVTN News. Now, today is Halloween, so happy Halloween. What is your Halloween costume? Um, I don't think we need to do costumes anymore because you can identify as whatever you want to be. Anyway, Archbishop Vigano wrote a letter to United States bishops, and I can't really say a whole lot of what he said, but I do just want to read you a quick clip here. He says it is imperative that there be an intervention by the United States Bishops' Conference aimed at promoting the religious exemption and immediately revoking the bans imposed in this regard by many ordinaries on their priests. Similarly, all job requirements for seminarians and candidates of religious communities must be revoked. And so that gives you the sense of what he's trying to talk about here in this article. It's a pretty long one, and you can read that if you wish. And that's the LifeSite News. So I don't really have anything else I can say on that on this platform. So we're going to move on to Opus Dei in Germany. So we did a video, the Thunder and Lightning crew did a video maybe about a year ago on Opus Dei, and we explained a little bit about what it was and the secrecy involved in it. And Reverend Christoph Bockamp, Opus Dei's German regional vicar, said that Germany is not threatened with the schism because of the synodal path of German bishops. So he denied that Germany is headed towards schism. On the contrary, the issues on the table are also relevant for the rest of the world, he said. And so Opus Dei's German regional vicar seems to support the German synodal path. But according to Opus Dei, he never criticized a priest. So he won't be getting much criticism from Opus Dei whether or not they agree or disagree with him, which is why you see someone like Dr. Scott Hahn never speak out against these issues in the church. And what is your costume? What do you identify as for Halloween? I don't know. I think I identify as um, age 65. Can I have Social Security, please, and Medicare? I don't know. All right, Notre Dame student. Speaking of identities, Notre Dame student, uh, University of Notre Dame student Mary Frances Myler wrote an article in the school's newspaper questioning the university's commitment to its Catholic identity. She referenced their excessive promotion of LMNOP. There we go. Someone's taking note. And this student is. Here's a quote. It should be noted that Notre Dame is not unique in her incoherent response to the challenges raised by the LMNOP agenda. The Catholic Church finds herself internally troubled by dissent from her teachings on gender, sexuality, and doctrine. This is not mere individual disagreement, but institutional rebellion. Notably, German bishops have persisted in their decision to bless LMNOP relationships despite the Vatican's repeated clarifications on Catholic doctrine. And the article is a decent length. I'm not going to read you the entire thing, but at the end, it's really good. She says, the university should cling to the truth, especially when the social cost is high. She may not attract allies, but she will flourish in her witness to Christ's invitation of authentic love, sacrifice, and transformation. So good on this, Notre Dame student. Continue to stand up for the truth whenever your university is promoting not the truth. And all right, have you heard of the name Jeffrey Sachs? It's probably come up quite a bit. Pope Francis has appointed the economist Jeffrey Sachs to the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences. Sachs is the director of the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University in New York. He has served as an advisor to 3 United Nations Secretaries General. No surprise that he's getting favored by the Vatican and getting really nice treatment. He's also advocated for a reduction in fertility rates in developing countries through the dissemination of contraception. He's not Catholic. In fact, he was the religion that Jesus and the apostles practiced until Jesus established Christianity. So, at least that's what I've seen online. Time magazine has twice named him among the 100 most influential world leaders. Bernie Sanders wrote a foreword to Sachs' 2017 book, Building the New American Economy. Smart, fair, and sustainable. Fits exactly with Pope Francis's ideals, not nothing of which is Catholic in this book, I would imagine, because Jeffrey Sachs is not Catholic. And Pope Francis is certainly uh, raising the question as to whether or not he is. He's certainly causing a lot of people to question that. Okay, so Archbishop Chaput, retired Archbishop of Philadelphia, is rumored to be one of the pillars helping the Pillar, the news organization, to get funds. This is reported by Gloria TV. Archbishop Chaput also defended EWTN against attacks from Francis, and this was in a First Things article on October 21st. Chaput said that any suggestion that EWTN is unfaithful to the Church, Vatican II, or the Holy See is vindictive and false. And I would like to make a statement about EVTN, because Chaput defended EWTN, but I don't know if he's heard of EVTN. If he has, you're welcome to be on this program at any time. Probably not. He probably has never heard of it and probably never will. But I would like to make the statement that any suggestion that EVTN is unfaithful to the Church, Vatican II, or the Holy See, any suggestion? Let me think about that. Any suggestion that EVTN is unfaithful to the Church, Vatican II, or the Holy See needs to be given more time to consider what this actually means about being unfaithful to, well, first off, the Church. Certainly, that's not my intention at all to be unfaithful to the Church. It is my intention to be faithful to the Church. Vatican II, can we get some clarification on what Vatican II actually means? And then we can address whether we're faithful or unfaithful to Vatican II. And the Holy See, are we faithful or unfaithful to the Holy See? What does that mean? Does it mean Pope Francis, or does it mean the chair of St. Peter? Because I think that the papacy is certainly a necessity, but if the Pope makes airplane statements on an airplane that contradict the Catholic faith, or if he makes statements in an encyclical that contradict the Catholic faith, then what does that mean to be faithful to the Holy See? All right, moving on. Medjugorje. People have asked about Medjugorje, and I don't actually know a whole lot about it. But there is a book. This book is called Medjugorje Complete by Donald Anthony Foley. And so there was this book review, and I've posted it in the description along with all the other links. And it talks about an objective look at Medjugorje. And so I'm going to just read you a few quotes here. It says, every commission established to examine the apparitions has come to the conclusion that they are not supernatural in origin, except the most recent Ruini Commission 2010 to 2014 established by Pope Benedict. So there's one that said, so what did the Ruini Commission say? Did it say that they were supernatural in origin? There's a lot of controversy about Medjugorje, and I think that this is not actually going to be settled for maybe a few decades. I don't know that I don't know that I don't know if there's definitive proof either way, and I know a lot of people have very strong opinions on both sides, and so I try to take an objective look because I don't have the background on Medjugorje to actually form legitimate opinion. Another statement here, it says, fully examines the role of the charismatic movement in promoting Medjugorje, particularly the uncritical acceptance by Father René Laurentin, whose early writing publicized and promoted the events and spurred interest. Without the organization and extensive contacts the charismatic renewal provided, it's unlikely that the explosive growth of Medjugorje, with all the pilgrims and meetings throughout the United States, would ever have occurred. So it seems to suggest that the pilgrimages to Medjugorje were driven by the charismatic movement in the United States. That doesn't make it wrong. That just isn't point to note. And that, so, like I said, take a look at this book review. See if you're interested in this book. Take a look at um, all of the information out there if you're interested in taking a look and researching Medjugorje. I know that, like I said, some people have very strong opinions, and you want to try to stay away from the people that have emotional opinions, and you want to look at the objective facts. The objective facts, um, and even this guy mentions that he knows people who have had conversion experiences in Medjugorje, but some of the stuff seems concerning. So um, you know that's the extent of my expertise on Medjugorje, which is very little. So Pope Francis and Joe Biden had a meeting. Did you hear about it? I'm sure you did. This is an article from the AP from last week. It said the Vatican on Thursday abruptly canceled the planned live broadcast of President Joe Biden meeting with Pope Francis, the latest restriction to media coverage of the Holy See that sparked complaints from the White House and Vatican accredited journalists. So there was an unexpected cancellation of the live broadcast to journalists. So the journalists are saying, like, we expected to see the entire broadcast, and the Vatican canceled it. So what was the deal there? Why did they cancel it? Was it because they didn't want the media to hear some of the comments by Pope Francis? We'll get to that later. Return to Tradition. Some of you may be familiar with Anthony Stein from Return to Tradition. He said that his Rumble channel was deleted a few weeks ago with no warning, no violations, nothing. What gives? He said, they censored me more than YouTube. All Vigano things there were flagged. Well, I guess I can't move this EVTN news to Rumble. I guess there's no way. So, I guess I'll move to another platform. Rumble, they haven't done anything to me yet, but I don't know what other platform I would want to use for videos, so I'll have to definitely consider that. Alright, here's Cardinal Burke. He says that pro-abortion politicians who claim to be Catholic should be denied communion. He has a long kind of an essay on this. And Cardinal Burke, I believe he has a degree in canon law. He writes he writes from the perspective of canon law, so it's pretty long, a lot of legal information. And so he talks about Canon 915. I'll read that to you. It says, those who have been excommunicated or interdicted after the imposition or declaration of the penalty, and others obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin, are not to be admitted to Holy Communion. So I guess what Cardinal Burke is saying is that Joe Biden is excommunicated, and the other politicians who claim to be Catholic yet support abortion, they're excommunicated late sententiae. And I believe this is what he's saying. And so I'm going to read a little bit from his essay here, and it's a little bit of a longer clip, but you'll see what I'm getting at here. He says the discussion during the meeting of June 2004 was difficult and intense. This was the one where Ratzinger wrote a document, I believe, to all the bishops of the world, saying that pro-abortion politicians should be denied communion, and this was the one where Wilton Gregory and McCarrick kind of paraphrased this to make it seem like this wasn't what Ratzinger was saying. Okay, so Cardinal Burke says, without going into the details of the discussion, there seemingly was no consensus among the bishops, even though there was among some of the most influential bishops the desire to avoid any intervention with Catholic politicians who, according to the discipline of Canon 915, should not be admitted to receive Holy Communion. I wonder which influential bishops they were. I think we know now. I just named them. Ultimately, the president, the then Bishop Wilton Gregory of the Diocese of Belleville, remanded the matter to a task force on Catholic bishops and Catholic politicians under the chairmanship of then Cardinal McCarrick, who was clearly opposed to the application of Canon 915 in the case of Catholic politicians supporting procured abortion and other practices which gravely violate the moral law. The task force was comprised of a group of bishops with mixed views on the subject. In any case, with time, the task force was forgotten and the critical issue was left unaddressed by the Conference of Bishops. When Bishop Gregory announced the task force, the bishop sitting next to me observed that we could now be certain the issue would not be addressed. Does it sound familiar? I think we have a document on the Eucharist that's being drafted right now, and they're going to have discussion in the November USCCB meeting, which is in a few weeks, on this. And it says, when Bishop Gregory announced the task force, the bishop sitting next to me said, we can be certain that the issue would not be addressed. What do you think is going to happen with this document on the Eucharist from the USCCB? I think this is history repeating itself a little less than 20 years later. I personally think that. I don't know what you guys think. Cardinal Burke says, I invite you to pray with me for the Church in the United States of America and every nation that, faithful to the mission of Christ, her bridegroom, she will be faithful, limpid, and uncompromising in the application of Canon 915, defending the sanctity of the Holy Eucharist, safeguarding the souls of Catholic politicians who would grievously violate the moral law and still present themselves to receive Holy Communion, thereby committing sacrilege and preventing the most serious scandal caused by the failure to observe the norm of Canon 915. So, what this means, Cardinal Burke says that politicians who are pro-abortion and Catholic, claim to be Catholic, should be denied communion. This was released before Pope Francis met with Joe Biden, which, when they did meet, here's a quote from Joe Biden. We just talked about the fact he was happy that I was a good Catholic and I should keep receiving communion. Then he received communion publicly in Rome on Saturday. So Pope Francis told Joe Biden he could receive communion, and Joe Biden received it. Now, there have been a lot of people making excuses for Pope Francis. The usual excuses. Oh, well, maybe it was a misinterpretation. Well, maybe Joe Biden's lying, which, I mean, that's possible, certainly. I don't trust him. But do you think that Pope Francis would clarify? I ask this every single time that these controversies come up. How many times have they come up in the past 8 years? Way more than we can count, right? And a lot of people made excuses for him, but at a certain point, you got to stop making excuses. I think Archbishop Corleone of San Francisco was making a lot of excuses. He said, well, maybe it was like, maybe Joe Biden wasn't telling the truth. And then some bishops are saying, well, maybe Pope Francis would never do that because he is against abortion. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, there's an article on 1 Peter 5. It was about crossing over to the Byzantine Rite. Roman Catholics starting to attend the Byzantine Church. And I've been talking about the Byzantine Church a lot on this channel. If you have a local Byzantine church, it's certainly worth checking out. And this article was written by Lyndon Preedy. He has commented on this channel before, and so I'm happy to share this article with you if you're interested in it. He talks about Latin Mass Catholics in particular attending the Byzantine Rite. Some of the women are wearing veils. Some of the big families come to the Byzantine Rite. And it is certainly an option. I don't know. It's up to every person to discern whether that's a good option for them or not. Because some people are saying stay and fight. Well, are you going to stay and fight if your Latin Mass is taken away from you? Because how can you? Are you going to go to the Novus Ordo? Some people can deal with it. A lot of people can't, especially if you have younger families. You need to attend a reverent liturgy. And the Byzantine Rite offers some people the option of attending a more reverent liturgy. And so, especially if you have children, this is certainly a consideration, especially with sacraments. I have heard that the Byzantine Rite has 3 exorcisms in the baptism, which is absent from the Novus Ordo Rite. Also, First Communions Will they tell you to receive communion in the hand exclusively, not on the tongue? I don't know. So, all right. The last thing on this list I have is the France district of the FSSP releases a statement. Gathered in Cise, France, from October 26 to 29. For their annual meeting, the priests of the District of France, the FSSP, spoke of the questioning in certain places of their identity and their apostolate, as well as of deep concerns expressed by the faithful entrusted to them by the Church. Unanimously, they wished to reaffirm their attachment to the founding charism of the Fraternity of St. Peter, in particular to the unwavering double fidelity to the so-called Tridentine Liturgy and to the Holy See. By definitively approving the constitutions of the FSSP in 2003, the Holy See legitimizes double attachment, lived by all its members for more than 30 years in ecclesial communion. The priests of the District of France of the FSSP intend to continue their mission in the service of the Church and of souls, confident that the authority of the Church cannot go back to the commitments made and cannot go back on the commitments made during the founding of the fraternity. They entrust themselves to the maternal protection of the Virgin Mary and to the intercession of St. Peter. So a few things in the statement are interesting. They say that they are confident the authority of the Church cannot go back on the commitments made during the founding. What were the commitments? Weren't they promised a bishop? Okay. And they have the double fidelity to the Tridentine Liturgy and to the Holy See. What if one of those is removed? What if the Tridentine Liturgy is removed by the Holy See from the Fraternity of St. Peter? What are they going to choose? This is going to be an interesting question because I don't know if the FSSP is going to do that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Joe Biden presumably had a bathroom accident, and that's why his meeting with Pope Francis went longer than he anticipated, because I think, what was it? Obama and Trump both met with Pope Francis, and this meeting with Biden lasted longer, and who knows. Now, if you watched any videos, I think Biden gave Pope Francis a military coin, and then he was talking to him about Satchel Paige, who was a famous pitcher in the Major League Baseball. He was able to join Major League Baseball after they integrated in different races into Major League Baseball, and he was the oldest rookie of the year in history. I think he was in his 40s, which is pretty incredible, and it just shows, and people just wonder how good he would have been if he had played in Major League Baseball earlier in his life, earlier in his career. Now, I don't know what that. I didn't get to see the context what he was talking about baseball, but it certainly sounds different. I don't know, and who really knows what they were talking about? Did they actually have a conversation at all? I don't know, but RR brought that up, so I guess yeah. So that was definitely interesting, and no one's refuted that. No one's refuted that claim that Joe Biden had an accident during his meeting, and so the Vatican's not seemingly not going to deny anything. And I see what it says here. Pope Francis said in one past interview that science says that life begins at the 3 months. So what about the earlier months? I don't know if that's, I don't know. I haven't seen that quote, but that's an interesting comment. And we have a viewer from Brazil. Welcome. Hopefully it's you're having nice weather there. I don't know. It's a tropical. Seems like a tropical region, but I think your weather would definitely be warmer than what I have here. Yeah, so why? I don't know. I just want to get back to this FSSP just for a little bit. So, what's the goal moving forward for the FSSP? how do they move forward? How can they? This is a really difficult situation, and for the record, I believe that the FSSP and the SSPX are both necessary, because the FSSP have proved that Archbishop Lefebvre was correct in consecrating the bishops, because Rome kept promising him a bishop, and they kept promising him multiple bishops, and they didn't follow through on that. Now, when the FSSP was formed, they were promised a bishop by Rome, and guess what? They haven't been given a bishop. And so Archbishop Lefebvre is correct, because there is no traditionalist bishop except for the SSPX bishops. So I think that the FSSP was necessary in proving this, and I think the FSSP and the SSPX are both necessary, because some people aren't comfortable attending the SSPX, especially if they're new to tradition. However, the FSSP is fine because they have full canonical status, and I don't know that there's really any Catholics that have a problem with attending the FSSP. I don't know if there's any Novus Ordo Catholics that have a problem with the FSSP unless these Novus Ordo Catholics are actually heretics. So I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying that the people that are repulsed by Catholic piety, Catholic tradition, they're the ones that are potentially good candidates to be heretics. But it's going to be a very difficult situation moving forward for the FSSP. Are their seminarians actually going to be able to get ordained? That's a good question, because they have to submit their names to Rome, and Rome has shown that they're not cooperative and they're not very friendly towards traditionalists. So what's going to happen even with their seminarians now? And what about new seminarians? Are they going to accept new seminarians? I mean, this whole thing, we haven't had a lot of clarification. I thought the Vatican would come up with some new clarification, but it seems like the Vatican really enjoys confusion, as indicated in this Joe Biden thing. And another thing to mention about Joe Biden, and I'm jumping around at this point, but another thing to mention is that the USCCB meeting is coming up in 2 weeks. So it's going to be Veterans Day is, I believe, on Thursday the 11th, and it's going to be the Monday after Veterans Day. I don't have a calendar. Do I have a calendar in front of me? No, I don't. But I think it's going to be somewhere around like November 14th or 15th, and it's going to be for a few days. And with this situation, I don't know what the bishops are going to say, because some of them probably had planned to say certain things about denying pro-abortion politicians communion. But now Pope Francis, he's giving them the smackdown and saying, nah, I don't think so. And Joe Biden just received communion in Rome publicly, and so there's that. Okay, Pope entered. Oh yeah, Pope entered Luther at Vatican again. What else could we expect from him? So there's a Martin Luther statue at the Vatican again. It looks like chocolate. It kind of looks like chocolate, doesn't it? Or it's. I think, did Taylor Marshall talk about that in one of his videos? I believe so. Okay, and then maybe Pope Francis can invite the sorcerer from San Bernardino to the Vatican so he can teach the hierarchy there how to cast Aztec spells too. Well, the Synod on Synodality is a great place to start. And with that, I believe that covers everything I wanted to talk about. So, oh, Mass of the Ages. One more thing. I posted a video, just a very short video, saying go to Mass of the Ages and get it over 1 million views. It's reached 1 million views, so congratulations to them at Mass of the Ages. And that's going to be good. And they have part 2 upcoming at some point, so great. Good for them. Hopefully that'll be very interesting. So, this has been EVTN News, and we identify as the #1 news channel in the world. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.